Tampa's own. I've known him since he was 5-6 years old, playing here in the Tampa Bay area. Forest Hills, Sebastian Greico joins us. What's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you? Thank you for having me on today.
You got it, pal. My first memory of you playing ball, man, you had the big glasses out there,
Yeah.
the big barrel bat hitting laser beams everywhere. I mean, what is it like, man, to be able to play for a couple of different teams, man, but to be a senior now, Sebastian, playing for USF? I know that's got to mean a lot to you.
Yeah, for sure. It's incredible to be here. I always dreamed about playing here. So once that opportunity came up, I was all over it. So I'm super excited to be here.
What was that process like, man? Did Coach Hannes reach out? Were you the one who made that initial, reach out? Like, how does this whole journey, come back to the green and gold?
Yeah, so honestly, when I entered the transfer portal, USF was kind of going through that coaching change. So I wasn't really sure, what was going on. So I was talking to a few different schools. Then I saw they hired Coach Hannes. So I asked around everybody I knew, and nobody had direct contact with him. So I actually came to USF one day and just stopped by and kind of went to the front desk. I was like, I'm here to meet Coach Hannes. So the lady was like, do you have an appointment with him? And I lied to her. I was like, yeah, he's expecting me. And so she walks me up to his office, and he was meeting with somebody, but the meeting got done. I kind of walked in, introduced myself, and we had played Indiana State when I was at FAMU last year. So he didn't immediately recognize me, but once we started talking, I think it kind of clicked and he remembered me and kind of went from there. And sure enough, he said I could come on, and the rest is history.
Wow. So you went there on a whim. Did anybody tell you? You just said, like, I'm taking the bull by the horns here.
Yeah,
pun intended. You just went up there and just said, like, hey, I'm going to be on this team, so I'm going to go and say that I do have a meeting even if I don't.
Yeah. I kind of just walked in and told him I was looking for an opportunity, would do anything I can to play here. And I guess he liked that and told me he'd give me an opportunity. So
yeah, the rest is history. You're right, man. You want to talk about taking initiative. That is exactly what you did, man. Good for you. You deserve it, man. You deserve it. So what was that like when you put on the green and gold for the first time?
It was amazing. Like I said, I've always wanted to play here. So when that opportunity came, it's just been incredible. And, obviously it hasn't been easy. We had a really tough fall. I think we started with almost 60 guys and you had to cut it down to around 40. So, early on in the fall, there's a lot of competition. So we really had to come out here every day and get after it just to even make the team.
What has it been like this year, man? I mean, you guys have done so well, really good in conference, playing some tough out of conference opponents. Like, what has it been like, going through the season and really having some success where, there was a lot of questions, like people didn't know, first year coach, a lot of different guys coming in, what has been kind of the key to your success so far this year?
I mean, I think it's kind of like how Coach Hannes always talks about, showing up to practice mad. And this is my 6th year in college. Like, I've never been on a team that, practices this hard. And I think it's just a testament, honestly, to our hard work, every day, whether it's getting in the cages early, getting our early work in, practice itself is, we're getting after it every single day. So I think that's really been key for us to just honestly just put in the work, because when you put in the work, the game comes and you just go play. Play. So I think that's been really key for us, is just all the hard work we put in. Even like going back to the fall, I mean, our fall practices were tough. We got after it every single day. So I think you're starting to see that work we put in kind of pay off now.
I'm here at Amalie Arena. Have you been to a Lightning game lately?
I've only been to one.
Ever?
One ever.
Oh my God, we got to get
there sometime.
We got to get you out here, man, for sure. I had him on last week. What's the deal with Corey Braun? I mean, this guy every Friday night. It was Friday afternoon last week when he only gives up 1 run in 8 after a complete game shutout. What is it like, man? Because you have such a unique perspective, left-handed pitcher. You're making eye contact with the guy. I mean, he has just been dominant this season. What is it like to be able to play behind a guy like that?
I mean, it's incredible. He's been our guy this year. I mean, he's just one of those dudes. He gets on the mound, and I mean, he's just attacking hitters. He's going right after them. Like, here's my stuff. Let's see if you can hit it. And as you see, not many people have been able to hit it.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. And another guy is, Bryce Archie. talk so much about him because of what he was able to do on the football field last year. But now, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a guy just, I mean, it's just going to be a midweek guy, but then he picks up the ball and just throws 95, which he doesn't, you can tell he obviously needs work. He's not just baseball only guy, but you can't teach 95. What is it like to be able to see a guy that can not only go under center and throw touchdown passes, but also, do some really nice things on the radar gun. And he's unflappable on the mound too.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing to see. He's done really well for us this year. Same thing as Braun, really attacks the zone, gets right after hitters, and it's incredible to see him. I remember the first time he came out, like you said, I think his first outing, he was 94, 95, and kind of everybody was just amazed. So it's been really good to see him get out there, get on the mound, and he's played a really big role in our team this year.
What is your favorite memory, and not high school, but before high school, what's your favorite memory from playing baseball in the Tampa Bay area growing up?
Man, I think my best moments, like you said, was at Forest Hills. Grew up playing there, and I can't tell you how many good memories I have at that ballpark. So definitely, going back to those days, it's been good. I still drive by there going home, so it's awesome just to drive by and look at the field. So
the field looks nice, man. The field looks nice over there, man. They got the big field is amazing.
Yeah.
You also have Brad Keylori there too. I mean, this is another Tampa guy who is kind of, a unique journey himself, going to a bunch of different schools.
Right.
What is it like to be able to have another guy too that, is a Tampa guy, right? And to be able to kind of come back home and to help lead this team, back to a really competitive team, not just in conference, but out.
Yeah, it's been really good having Brad Key around. We're really good friends, and he's played really well this year. I mean, his defense is incredible. I mean, as you've seen, made a ton of diving plays. Like any ball that's hit in that area, like he's getting there. So it's been awesome to see, and awesome to have other Tampa guys, return into USF and being able to do well.
For sure. And, being a guy that went to Gaither High School, playing for Coach Nelson North, one of my favorite high schools around, of course, dating back to the Frank Permui days, the late great Frank Permui. But what did you learn at Gaither? Because I feel like it's one of the more, I don't want to say established programs, because it is, but there's just something about being around those guys, because Nelson North has the experience of coaching at the collegiate level, where I think it sets guys up for success when they go to that next level. Can you speak on that, being a guy that was a Gaither Cowboy?
Yeah, so honestly, I didn't even play in high school till my junior year. So I guess it was a little bit of a different journey for me.
Yeah.
So I went there my junior year, and it was kind of, obviously, like you said, I played when I was younger. I took a couple years away from the game and then came back my junior year. So it was a little difficult for me because, it's my first time back, first time getting at bat. So I think, honestly, it was just the development from when I came back to when I finished my senior year, just getting back in that groove, being able to practice every day, being able to get the reps, it really set me up, going into college to be ready to play.
What was that break like? When did you take the break away from baseball, and how important was that for you? Because listen, you and I both know, man, it gets crazy, way too young, right? There's just so much baseball, and it's just, I almost, I look back at when I coached and I was like, man, was I doing the right thing? Was I really, because I wanted to always make sure that the kids had balance, and they focused on being a kid and not doing too much. But you see it. I mean, just baseball's prevalence everywhere in the Tampa Bay area. What was that like to take that break? How long did you do it? And what would you say to people that, they're in that same category where it seems like there's a lot of baseball all the time?
Yeah. So obviously, like you said, I grew up, I think I was playing travel ball when I was 6, 7 years old. So I played a ton of baseball when I was young, played all the way up until I was 12. And then I really kind of lost the love for the game. So, I had to step away for a little bit. Actually, me and my older brother, who's now a professional bass fisherman, we really got into fishing. So we were fishing like a bunch of high school tournaments, like in the Florida area. And actually, we did really well. We were the team of the year one year. So I really enjoyed that. So me and him did that for 3 years. And then he went off to college. He actually came to USF. And I was going into my junior year. And for whatever reason, I just kind of missed the game. And I knew it had always been a goal of mine to play in college. So I knew if I was going to make that happen, I had to start playing again, which was, my junior year of high school. So sure enough, I guess that break was, somewhere around 3 years. And kind of picked up the bat again, and it was, it wasn't right where I left off, but it kind of came back to me pretty quick. So, going into my junior year of high school, that summer, put in a ton of work in the cages, just kind of trying to find that swing again. And sure enough, I tried out at Gaither, was able to make the team. My junior year, didn't get to play too much, honestly. I think I only had maybe 14, 15 at bats, and then went and played that summer, did pretty well, and then came back for my senior year and was able to get, a few more at bats. It wasn't exactly what I wanted, but, I get it. It's, I was just coming back. It took me a little bit to kind of find my groove. So it was good because I needed that experience, needed the at bats, and I was fortunate enough to have just one opportunity, to play. I didn't have any offers coming out of Gaither, and ended up going to a workout at Chipola Junior College about 2 weeks before my freshman college season, which I didn't have school at the time, but it was 2 weeks before, and I went to a workout at Chipola with Coach Jeff Johnson, and he didn't have any spots available on his team, but he thought I had potential, so he reached around to a couple of his buddies, and ended up one of his buddies called him back and said he was willing to take me at Coastal Alabama Community College. So that was huge for me. So packed up my stuff and went there, and that was my freshman year. So it's been a crazy journey, but like you said, I think the key is you just have to enjoy baseball. When you're playing every single weekend, it becomes more of a chore. So I think, maybe younger kids are playing a little bit too much these days.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta kind of have to find that balance between, playing baseball, but also having fun with it.
Take us through the journey from Coastal Alabama. Take us through your steps for the people that don't know. What were the next couple of steps like before you got to USF?
Yeah. So anyways, got the one offer to Coastal Alabama, showed up there, and that was my freshman year. Made it through that fall. Opening day comes around. I was in the 6th hole playing first base. So, honestly, really my first, believe it or not, like my first opening day really being in the lineup. And I think we were about 18 games through that year. That was the COVID year. So we made it through about 18 games. Actually, I was playing really well. Like, it was my first time, playing every day, playing defensively every day. And I think at the time I was hitting a little bit over 400, had like 3 or 4 home runs, and I was starting to get a little bit of attention from D1 school. So I went from having, not even a single coach calling me in high school to now, like, start a couple of D1s started to reach out, said they're going to come take a look at me, and COVID hits. So that season gets shut down, kind of nothing really happened. So I go back to Coastal Alabama again for my sophomore year. Ended up playing pretty well that fall, had a few Division I offers, like I said. And, at the time, COVID was kind of going on, so you couldn't visit these colleges in person. So I was kind of just, I had a few different offers, ended up taking the offer to Eastern Kentucky University. They made me a pretty good offer, and I thought it'd, be a good fit for me. So ended up committing there, ended up at Eastern Kentucky, which would be my junior year. And I didn't play much, to be honest with you. Kind of had a few pinch hit at bats here and there. Every once in a while I'd get, a spot start. And just in the time, I honestly didn't play well. So, I needed to go somewhere where I knew I could play every day.
Yeah, you got to play.
That's because, like I said, hadn't played much at the stops I was at. So I knew I needed to go somewhere where I was going to get consistent at bats, consistent playing time for that development. So sure enough, Florida A&M was actually my first official D1 offer coming out of JUCO. And I texted the coach, once I entered the portal, and he said, he made me an offer. He said he'd love to have me, I could come in and work to get a starting spot. So I took that offer and went to Florida A&M, won the job. And that season I played really well. I think
you crushed it.
Hitting well, had the 1 year, hit 17 home runs, and had a really good year. So that was obviously huge in my development. Kind of gave me that confidence. Like, okay, like the swing's coming back. Felt like defensively I was improving every day. Got to play a lot of first base. Mix in the outfield a little bit, and So that was obviously really good. And came back to FAMU last year, had another really good season, and I had that 1 year of eligibility remaining. And so I decided, I'm gonna enter the portal, see, for my last year. I knew it'd be big for me to kind of get on a bigger stage because obviously
Right.
Florida A&M, they don't get, as many scouts, as much coverage as some of these other bigger schools. So I kind of entered the portal. And like I said, USF was always the first choice, but I had some other pretty big programs reaching out. So kind of had to balance the options, had some really good offers to some other programs. But at the end of the day, I wanted to play for USF and I had to pass up, some really good scholarship offers, some really good NIL deals just to come
Right.
here on my own dime. So I wanted to be here, to be honest.
You had to come home, buddy. You had to come home.
Like I said, Coach Hannes was honest with me when I met with him. It was late in the process. He had already given out all of his scholarships, already given out all the NIL money. And so he told me, he's like, look, I don't have anything but an opportunity. And he said, the one thing I asked him is if I could come in and compete for a spot. And he said I could. So that's all I needed to hear.
What's the goal for the rest of the season, Sebastian? You got 10 home runs right now. You're really doing such a great job in the middle of that lineup. You're scooping things over at first base like you work at Haagen-Dazs. I mean, what's the mindset for you the rest of the season?
I mean, it's always just to continue to get better. I think, as he says, we're still not a finished product. We're coming every day to improve. So that's kind of the goal for me, just to improve on my at-bats, improve defensively every day, because I think that's, as you said, that's huge, defensively to be solid. So just coming in every day, putting in the work, having consistency, having good at-bats, and you can't really control the results, but you can control the process. So that's kind of how I go about things. I know if I'm putting the work, off the field, when I get in the game, I can just play free.
No doubt about it, man. And I tell you what, you are a true story of resilience and initiative and motivation. And, this is the good thing about our show here is, the Jay Recher podcast. It's about Tampa, baby. And you are one of those guys that, you've seen it all. You've seen the journey. You've seen, the ups and downs of travel ball. You've seen when things don't go your way. It's not about what happens to you. It's about how you react to those things. And, man, you are such a great example of the right way to do things. And I know every single time I see you in the lineup, I'm super happy, man, because I just know the impact that you're making, not just on the team this year, but USF kids in the future, but kids in Tampa. You know how it is, man. There's baseball. Tampa's a baseball place. So I'm just so happy for your success, man. I asked, somebody asked me how many home runs you were going to hit after you hit like number 3. I go, he might get up to 20. And they said 20, you're at 10 right now. So, I know you like to hit him in bunches. So make me look good and hit 20 home runs if you don't mind. Okay, buddy?
I'll try my best.
Sebastian Greico, first baseman for our USF Bulls. Best of luck this weekend, my man. Thank you so much for your time. Again, so proud of you. Keep up the great work, and see you around the park very soon, man. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on the show.
You got it.